So what I want to talk today about is this journey that all of us are on. The world is very uncertain right now, and I don't want that to be our frame of reference, because it's really how we look at the world that determines all the possibilities that are in front of us right now. I want to share some things with you. So, yesterday...
I'm just going to leave you here.
Yeah.
A big applause for Ray Potter. Let him start and inspire us to co-create the future together.
So, yesterday, I posted this thought: friends and good manners will carry you where money won't go. I want you guys to remember that, because I'm going to tell you a secret at the end of this talk. And it'll all come full circle. So we think about innovation hubs. We think about places that are amazing in the world where all this amazing stuff happens. But really, it happens with us. Just people who are inspired to create, because that is who we are as human beings. And the place is what we carry. It is not any specific place. It is not a San Francisco. It is not a New York. It is not a London. It is not a Stockholm. It is where we are. And Sundsvall, why I'm so inspired to be here, is Nordics. I feel this from you. You are the original explorers. You're the first people that went out into the world and said, what's out there? Let's go see. And this willingness to try and say, we're just going to do it. I am grateful for Lars, who brought us together. He represents the spirit of the Nordics. Just to try. Try because why not? And so innovation happens in the most unexpected of places. And it is not unexpected once it happens. And then everyone looks at it like, oh, there's the signal. That's where it's happening. So I want you to remember that. And it happens with the most unexpected people. It is just people who have a problem that they need to resolve. And they cannot find it where you'd expect to look. So you solve your own problem. These guys are famous now, but they're really just garage tinkerers at a time where they didn't get any recognition. They just did what they needed to do. And to what is happening in the world, to understand that the technology we create enables us to do more and more and give us more agency. In other words, more capacity to act. And before these guys, you had to be a huge institution like IBM to be able to do computing and a mainframe. They took it to another level. People after them, the Google guys, Tesla, Elon Musk, who took on NASA and said, I can do what you do much more efficiently because I can go direct. And we have people in the audience, Michael, who says, I am going to talk about the future, and I'm just going to start a podcast. Lars, I want to start a conference. I'm just going to do that. We have the ability to do that today. We have the ability to project who we are with less and less friction all the time, because we've created the tools that manifest our intentions out in the world. So what we can perceive, we can project that into reality, and the world can look at it and reflect back to us. So our ability to produce now, the frictions are reducing more and more. We have more and more ability to do more with less. And so it's any one of us that can create amazing things that hasn't happened yet. And innovation comes from unexpected combinations. Velcro is an accident. There's things that we do because we try, and things just happen as a result. We don't know where it's going to come from. So the key is to just try. And the Nordics, Sundsvall, the heart of the Nordics. Now I know there's history with the Swedes and the Danes and the Finns, and you have your own thing. But one of the things that I find fascinating is that here, what I felt, how you welcomed us from Los Angeles, how you bring everyone together, that we are co-participants in the culture that you've created together. And again, there's an opportunity to send that signal out into the world, that we are inviting you to participate with us, to create with us, because we are not alone in this. This is not about me. This is not about you. This is about the combination of me and not me that creates the we. And that is the profound thing that I feel here in the Nordics, and I feel the world needs to understand. And so from here, the world is our stage. And we are co-creating whatever is possible. And we don't know what that is yet, but we're going to try and we're going to figure that out. And the possibilities are all available to us right now. What is in my phone here always existed in the world is because many people looked at the world through their own way of seeing and shared that. The same elements that existed for millennia now is assembled into this device that is essential to our lives now. So the future is right here. It is how we imagine it, how we perceive it, and what we see together. I see one thing based on the life that I have lived. You see another thing based on the life that we live. And my father told me this recently, that was profound. He said, the problems that human beings have is we try to get each other to see things our way. And if we just accept another point of view, the world is a little bit wider, a little more full of possibilities. And so today, as I said, we have the ability to project our consciousness with very little friction. We can put what we think, what we feel out into the world for the world to see and reflect back to us. And so when all of us see, we create possibilities that never existed before. Just as this came together out of elements that have been here throughout generations, the next things that we're going to create are in you, are in me, are in everyone that is sitting here. And whoever that is, that person's part of that conversation too. And opportunities is exponential. We look at problems and we think, how are we going to solve this? So think about it this way. I was sharing this with one of you yesterday, that we see a problem with how the world is organized. In that, before the Industrial Revolution, there's 2 billion people. And we managed a world with the particular worldview that we have. Today, we're approaching, or in our lifetime, we're going to see 10 billion plus people in the planet. How do we provide for all of these people? That's a huge concern. We're limited resources. We think we're going to run out of what we have. But if you really think about it, the world is nothing but materials and energy and our imagination. So 2 billion to 10 billion is a factor of 5. It's exponential 5x, right? The phone that I showed you, the amount of physical capital or an amount of actual physical things that is required to make something that does the things that this does. It's a broadcasting station, it's auditorium, it's a library, it's tons of things that would take so much space and material 2 generations ago. This does more work per the amount of material that is in here. That's an exponential factor of at least 1,000, if not more. So we have 5 times the demand and 1,000 plus times the capacity. So something is missing in between. And perhaps it's the way we're looking at what the problem is. Perhaps is because we're still looking at it through the lens of what people who couldn't see the world past how far they can travel on horseback some 800 years ago. So we're still operating with those ideals. Now here we have an opportunity to reimagine what that reality looks like and reimagine what the possibilities are, how those things can come together. So the opportunities today are truly exponential, and the things that we accept as reality, that gap is closing all the time. This was a profession that was commonplace because you needed to physically switch to be able to connect people. Now, something much more complex than this happens on the fly instantaneously. Now, the question is, what happens to the people who were invested in doing something like this? This is part of their identity. This is what they do for a living. And so I want to share with you something about intention. And the exponential possibilities, it seems like we're stuck because when your only tool is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. But that may not be the case. We have something where when we start to see, this is an image of the old story of the elephant. So 5 blind men look at the elephant. One person sees it as a fan because they're looking at the ears. One person sees the tail as a snake because they're looking at the snake. We're all seeing pieces of the puzzle. And the way we've grown up and the way we perceive what the world is based on how we've been trained for the way the world used to work. The way the world used to work is we needed to provide for the people in our community, the people in the world. And the best way we can understand it from that point of view is that let's divide up the tasks and you specialize in just focus on this part. But what's interesting today is that we have the capacity to see the bigger picture. We have the capacity to ask questions. We have the capacity to put a question out and have the network feed it back to us. So knowledge is no longer contained in our heads. Knowledge is not contained solely in our profession. It is really all of us coming together, and we have the ability to ask those questions and receive the answers together so that we can complete the picture and we can see into that which is. And what I mean by intention being intelligent, we're having a conversation here. I'm speaking to you, but you are hearing what I'm saying, and you have a way to reflect back to me. When this is going on YouTube or in the media where it's going to, you're going to comment back. You're going to be able to respond back to me. And if you really think about it, what is a transaction other than trying to reconcile two different points of view? So it's a set of rules that we've created to say, you see the world this way, I see the world this way, and can we have a conversation to negotiate that? And what is the conversation? What is that leading to? Because what we want at the end of the day is to just know that I exist in relationship to you. In other words, what we're trying to say is that without the crudeness of language, what we're really trying to say, we're trying to get to, is that I love you and you love me. But we're just using this proxy in between. And we're ultimately trying to get to that. We're trying to negotiate until we come to that point. And so intention is always intelligent. It always points to love. The way we get there sometimes confuses us because we attach too much to the methodology. So I say, honor the intention because it is always intelligent. Let's maybe look at the rules again. Let's maybe perhaps break the rules if we need to. So let's say in the context of innovation and investment. Okay? So we are in a world today where investors are not getting what they want. They are looking for that exponential return that is not happening. The vehicles that they have, hedge funds that have been underperforming. The IPOs have been declining for the last 5-6 years. So this big payout is not happening, and so you're waiting for some company to be the next Facebook or the next Google. Well, that's not happening. And entrepreneurs are struggling to be able to deliver that, and they're burning out, and they're not able to do that. Perhaps we're looking at this whole thing wrong. Maybe it is the crudeness of the conversation that is missing the point. Perhaps to understand that what is really happening here is what I want as somebody who has capital to project, is that I want to see my vision manifest in the world. Just like as an entrepreneur, I want to see my vision manifest in the world. So we have that in common. And maybe we can think of different constructs of how we can co-create this value together, how we can not chase some unicorn off in the distance, but instead we understand that there are no such things as unicorns. Innovation is a result of the collective efforts of the knowledge that we created or curated and how we use that knowledge to help each other. The ideas that we have is based on the ideas others have established before us. So if we can hold that together, contain that, and co-create the possibilities together, what is it that you really want? Let's focus on that. What is the outcome that you really want? And is the existing vehicle the best way to do it? If we invented the world that we live in right now, why can't we invent a different one? And this is the challenge and the possibility that I want to share with you today, and the conversations and the innovations that are coming together. that let's look at what is happening in the world, and let's look at our capacity, and let's start having a dialogue where we are sharing the best of who we are with one another so that we can create an environment of trust, environment of collaboration, and environment of agreements that fit where we are in the 21st century. We have the capacity to take care of every single human being on the planet and then some. Remember what I mentioned about it's a 5x increase in demand in terms of population. But our technologies, we can do more with less. And that is way more. So there's a huge opportunity for us to close that gap. And it's time for us to think about things in a fundamentally different way. Feel things that we already intuitively know. And reconnect. And trust who we are as human beings. Who we really are, because intention is always intelligent. It always points to love. That's what we really want at the end of the day. That's the thing that we all have in common. We come at it different ways. We speak of it in different languages. We see it through different cultural lenses. But ultimately, it's the thing that we all want. It's the thing that we all feel. It's the thing that our prophets and mystics have pointed to, because they just went direct, but they didn't show us how. They just said, love is all there is. We're only the pieces. We go, oh, that's a beautiful thing to say. I don't understand. That's a beautiful thing to say. I don't know what you mean by that. You know, that's something that I kind of meditate on. But in the real world, man, what is the real world? We are the real world. And if you understand that that is where you're going, and you and I can agree that that is the point that we're actually seeking, we just don't have the language for it yet, well, we can learn, you know. If I can stumble through Swedish, you can learn the language of love, because it is accessible to all of us. That is who we are. That's why we're here in the first place. So, back to this. This is serendipitous how I'm here. Literally, about 10 days ago, Lars reached out to me and said, you have to come. I said, okay. Now, I didn't know how I was going to get here. I didn't know how this was going to happen. 2 hours or 3 hours before I was going to get on a flight, I really didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know I was going to be here. Okay. So this is the language of love. We connected at some spiritual level through the internet. Never ever met before in person. But I had a sense that we're on the same frequency. I had a sense that the reality that we were both experiencing was a common thread. Never worked together, never shook hands, never hugged each other, yet I had a sense that this is who we are, this is where we're meant to be at this very moment. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. Each one of us has superpowers. But you know what? The way we see the world, it confuses us. We cannot apply our superpowers to ourselves, but we can see it in the other person. We can see what they're great at, just like they can see what we're great at. So we reflect each other. And my point is this, is that, remember, intention is intelligent. It always points to love. And so, if we come together with the same intention, there is no boundary to what we can create together. We can literally create the world of our dreams, because technically, all the possibilities are here. We do more with less every single day. What is happening today in these emerging fields of blockchains, AI, robotics, automation, clean tech, regenerative energy system, food shed projects, watershed projects, how we're repurposing and regenerating what nature has already given us. And each iteration of society, we get closer and closer to what is. In other words, we get closer to how nature really works versus what we think it is. We get closer to love. We get closer to understanding that this planet and us, we're all the same vibration. We're part of the same system. And we're part of the same thing that runs through you, that runs through me. And we're all feeling the same things, just confused about how we're seeing it. But that confusion goes away when we trust each other. Because really, the operating system that we're creating is love. That's what it is. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to open the conversation, because really we're here about the conversation. So let's have a dialogue about where we go from here, how we relate to one another, and what we want to create, because what we want is the same thing. We just call it different things with different languages and different cultures, but the same thing. So to everyone here, to everyone watching, I just want to tell you, I love you. I really do. I feel you, and thank you again for the opportunity.